The funeral hall was silent until a German shepherd began barking, uncontrollably. Mourners gasped as the dog clawed at the coffin, refusing to back away. "Get him out," someone shouted, but the dog's eyes filled with tears never left his fallen handler. Lying inside, a decorated soldier who died saving his team. Then something unimaginable happened. The dog's barking stopped, replaced by a whine. He pressed his paw against the coffin, right where a faint sound began to echo from within. The crowd froze. The grieving mother screamed. A heartbeat monitor from the adjacent soldier's memorial display flickered, then a pulse. What the dog had sensed would soon shock everyone in the room and rewrite the meaning of loyalty, love, and miracles. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The early morning air was heavy with silence. As the military convoy rolled into town, people lined the streets, flags in hand, eyes full of sorrow. Inside the black vehicle lay Sergeant Bradley, a soldier whose courage had saved his entire unit during a mission overseas. When the explosion tore through the camp, he pushed his men to safety, but he didn't make it out. Lying beside him in the wreckage was his loyal German shepherd, Rex, whimpering, wounded but alive. Days later, the small hometown church was filled with flowers, medals, and memories. His mother clutched a folded flag, trembling. Soldiers stood in line, saluting one by one, but Rex refused to move from the foot of the coffin. His eyes were fixed on his handler's still face, his chest rising with short, uneven breaths. When they carried the coffin into the chapel, Rex followed, quietly pressing his paw against the wooden lid as if waiting for it to open. Every time someone tried to pull him back, he let out a soft growl, protective, heartbroken, unyielding, and as the choir began to sing, the room filled with tears, but none more faithful than the silent ones glistening. In Rex's eyes, the church was still, its silence broken only by the echo of soft hymns and quiet sobs. Rex lay at the base of the coffin, unmoving until the moment the priest began to speak. Suddenly, the German shepherd lifted his head, ears twitching, eyes narrowing on his master's chest. A low growl rumbled in his throat. That first, everyone thought it was grief, but then Rex barked once, twice, then again louder. The sound echoed off the walls, startling the mourners. "Someone get him out," a man whispered, but Rex wouldn't stop. He clawed at the coffin, frantic, whining as if trying to warn them that Bradley's mother fell to her knees beside him, sobbing. "Rex, please, it's okay." He's gone. Yet the dog barked louder, his gaze locked on a single spot, right above the soldier's medals. The funeral director approached cautiously, holding out a hand. Rex snapped, bearing his teeth protectively. His tail was down, his body tense, trembling with fear and determination. Something deep inside him knew something wasn't right. Then, as the organ played softly again, a faint shudder ran through the coffin. Surface. No one noticed except Rex. His ears perked. His bark turned into a desperate cry, echoing through the hall, like a plea only love could understand. Gasps filled the hall as Rex's barking grew louder, his paws scratching wildly. At the coffin, the pastor tried to continue, but his voice faltered under the sound of the desperate dog. Children began to cry. Mourners shifted uneasily in their seats. "Take him outside," someone whispered, but little Emma, Bradley's 7-year-old niece, shook her head. She stepped forward, tears streaking her cheeks. "He's not barking for no reason," she said softly. Uncle, Bradley loved him. Maybe he's trying to tell us something. Everyone fell silent. Rex went again, pressing his paw against the soldier's chest area. Then a sound, faint, almost imagined, a tiny whimper. The widow, "Ma'am, that's not do it," she cried. With shaking hands, he unlatched the coffin and slowly lifted the lid. The crowd leaned forward, breathless, and there, nestled beneath the folded jacket, on Bradley's chest was something small, fragile, and moving that a tiny newborn puppy, eyes still closed, shivering against the fabric, alive and breathing. The room erupted in stunned disbelief. Rex whimpered softly and wagged his tail. For a long moment, no one moved. The sight was too unreal. A living puppy, resting against a fallen soldier's chest. The priest dropped his Bible. The mother gasped, and Rex let out a low whine, his eyes softening as he gently nudged the newborn with his nose. How is that possible? Someone whispered. That a paramedic rushed forward, carefully lifting the tiny pup from the uniform. It let out a weak squeak before nestling into the warmth of his gloved hands. "It's alive," he said in disbelief, but barely. As the shock settled, the truth slowly emerged. Before his final mission, Sergeant Bradley had rescued a stray pregnant dog outside the Army base. He'd written to his mother, saying he planned to adopt her pups when he returned. But fate had other plans. After Bradley's death, the same stray had been brought home by fellow soldiers. Unnoticed, she'd given birth near the casket before the funeral. One tiny pup had crawled into Bradley's uniform jacket for warmth. Everyone stared, speechless. Rex hadn't been mourning. He'd been protecting life. He sensed the heartbeat no one else could. Tears streamed down his mother's face. Even in death, she whispered, he kept his promise to protect the helpless. And beside her, Rex pressed closer to the coffin, eyes glistening with silent pride. The room was filled with stunned silence. The tiny puppy squirmed in the paramedics' hands, letting out a fragile cry that broke the heaviness of the moment. Rex, tail wagging weakly, moved closer and licked the newborn's face. A ripple of emotion swept through the crowd. Tears, gasps, disbelief. The priest's voice trembled as he whispered, This is no accident. It's a sign." He turned toward the grieving family. "Your son's promise lives on." Reporters who had come to cover the funeral lowered their cameras, overcome by the scene. Bradley's mother held her chest, sobbing. He said he'd protect those pups. He kept his word, even from heaven. Rex rested beside the puppy, his head bowed as if standing guard once more. The paramedics placed the tiny creature in his mother's hands. She cradled it close, whispering through tears, "We'll name you Hope." Within hours, the miraculous story spread like wildfire. Fallen soldiers, dog saves, newborn puppy during funeral. Around the world, people wept watching the footage. The faithful dog, the newborn life, and the soldier who seemed to keep his promise even beyond death. That day, no one left the church untouched. They hadn't just witnessed a miracle. They had witnessed love that refused to die. Weeks passed and spring sunlight began to warm the small town again. In the quiet corner of Sergeant Bradley's home, a folded flag rested beside a framed photo, his proud smile forever frozen in time. On the floor, beneath it lay Rex, the loyal German shepherd, watching over. A tiny ball of fur nestled between his paws. The puppy, now stronger and full of life, had been named Hope. Every morning, Bradley's mother would find Rex sitting by the window, gazing at the distant cemetery hill where his handler rested. Hope often followed, stumbling clumsily behind him, tugging at his ear until he finally wagged his tail. Neighbors would stop by, often with tears in their eyes, to see the two, a guardian and a miracle, living proof of love's endurance. The story had reached millions, but for the family, it wasn't fame. It was comfort point. One afternoon, Bradley's mother knelt beside Rex, stroking his fur. "You kept his promise, didn't you, boy?" she whispered. Rex lifted his head, his gentle eyes glimmering in the golden light that, as the sun set, the camera pans across the quiet home. The flag, the photograph, Rex and Little Hope, curled up together. A voiceover closes. The story softly. He gave his life for others, and his dog gave life.